Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and today I want to share sort of a creative process with you and also show you exactly how I painted this piece. So I was painting something and I thought this was taking a long time because it was quite an involved piece, and I needed a break, and so I thought, why not try to see if I can do a cool transition from blue to green. That was basically the entire idea. Oh, and by the way, I apologize that my fingers look a little bit dirty. Just before I painted, I was out gardening, and yeah, that kind of shows in my hands. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, I wanted to see if I could do this smooth transition from green to blue without using an airbrush or anything. Just really quick wet blends, as you can see here. And the blue color I'm using is actually an oxide effect from Green Stuff World. It's called turquoise oxide, and then I'm just mixing it with a green ink from Liquitex. This one is called Vivid Lime Green, which of course is a color name I can I'm very much in favor of. And I just do, as you can see, a couple of layers of quick wet blends. I'm not trying to be very smooth. I mean, this was just trying stuff out, so I didn't want to spend hours doing glazes, which is why I went just for a wet blend, because a wet blend will often take you pretty far actually, without you needing to spend hours and hours and hours. So I did a quick wet blend, as you can see, first with the blue, then with a mixture of the two blues, of the two colors, the green and the blue, and then at the very last I mixed in a little bit of neon yellow. This one is Starfire Yellow from Huge Miniatures, one of my favorite paints because it has a very lovely bright neon tone to it. And I decided that it was a bit too muted. I don't know if you can call this color scheme muted, but I thought it was a little bit too muted, so I ended up using just pure Starfire Yellow on the very tip of the armor plate, just because, I mean, I ended up realizing I didn't just want it blend to go from blue to green, I wanted it to go from blue to neon yellow. And then I was more or less done with the blending process, and I didn't really know what else to do, so I grabbed some black contrast paint. This is Black Legion, which is sort of the blackest black of the contrast paints, and I did a black outline of all the armor plates. This was just really me stalling for time, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the piece. So yeah, after that I had done that, I thought it looked kind of nice, you know, the fade from blue to yellow. But also boring, and I considered doing sort of cross-hatching on it to give it a little more interest, but I thought I've done that so many times. And so in the end I just grabbed a pencil and started doodling a design like the one you have seen perhaps on the Carpet Marine video I made. I like that look a lot, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool to see what it would look like if it sort of stood out a little bit on its own, so it doesn't take up the entire space of an armor plate, but had a kind of frame around it, and this frame could then be this fade from blue, green and yellow. I didn't know if it would work. I just thought it was a fun idea. Then I wanted to fill out the individual patterns inside the drawing, and I decided I wanted to go for some colors that would be very much in contrast to the sort of background colors, and so I went with a red. This one is Mephiston Red, and it looks really dark here, which is because it is painted on top of blue, and I don't think Mephiston Red likes blue very much. It doesn't like being painted on top of blue, so it's quite dark. And then I also grabbed a pink paint, because pink paints are always my go-to if I don't know what else I want to do. I can always rely on pink to help me out. This one is from P3, and it's called Murderous Magenta, which in and of itself is just enough to make you happy, right? Then I took the Black Legion contrast paint once again, and I sort of, I painted, but it's more like drawing actually. I redrew the patterns inside this design just to make them really clear to see when I was going to do highlights, because right now it just looks sort of like it's one big mess really. It doesn't look good at this stage. Then unfortunately my camera is a little bit out of focus, but I still think you can get the general idea of what I'm doing. I am starting to highlight, and in this section I'm highlighting the red, and I'm using a fluorescent paint called Radar Red from Huge Miniatures. And it doesn't really match very well with the Mephiston red. It's got a completely different tone to it, which is exactly why I think it works here, because I want to make sure that the outline stands out very, very clearly from the background color. I think if you match those colors too closely, it ends up being a little bit more of a mess. You really need to make sure there are some very sharp contrasting colors going on for a project like this. Otherwise, I just think you end up with something that is just all over the place. I don't know. I mean, you could try it out, definitely. I'm not saying this is the exact way to do it. It's just the way I prefer doing it. Then I started highlighting the pink patterns, and for that I use firstly a color called Pulse Wave Pink. And I did it exactly the same way as I highlighted the red patterns. Then I go back over the red with an orange color. This is called Laser Orange, also from Huge Miniatures. And once I'm happy with that, I go back over the pink parts and I use another pink color. This one is called Cyber Pink. And I do exactly the same thing, trying to hit the sort of top part of the patterns, sort of very, very stylistically simulating a light source coming from above. It's not something I take great care in, because it is not going to look realistic at all anyway. And then the last layer of highlight for the reddish orange part is again the Starfire yellow, the same as I used for the tip of the armor plate. And the final highlight on the pink parts is just a little bit of white. So I try not to use too much white here, because I do not want this to look too much like a pastel painting. And then again, a little bit out of focus, I'm afraid. I'm sorry about that. I go back with the contrast paint Black Legion, and I sort of try to redo every single design using a black outline to just make it stand out and be really clear and very precise. Then I thought that the armor plates themselves, the sort of framework, needed a little bit extra work, so I went back over them with an edge highlight. I used the exact same colors I used before, only in lighter versions. So the blue oxide, turquoise oxide mixed with a little bit of white, and so on. Very quick, very easy, just to sort of help bring them together a little bit, I think. And here you can see the finished results. I mean, this is obviously not a finished model, but this sort of painting experiment is done, and I actually had a lot of fun with it, and it was very quick to do. I think I spent about an hour doing this, from the point where I decided to give up my current painting project and do something completely different until this was done. So it was very quick and easy and very fun, just doing something that I felt like and just trying stuff out. And as you can see here, it obviously glows under UV light, like most of my models do. It's just for fun. It has no practical use whatsoever, but I just really, really enjoy it. I think I'm kind of childish that way. But anyways, I just wanted to sort of show you the process from starting out not really knowing what I wanted to do, except that I wanted to try to see if I could do a decent blend going from blue to green, which turned out then to end up being from blue to neon yellow, and then finding that a tiny bit boring, and then deciding to draw in a complete random pattern, to be very honest. I think this looks cool. It was definitely fun to do, and I really like doing these sort of stylistic patterns on minis. I think I'll do more of this. I'm not sure. I think it works perhaps as well on a more organic shape. I think this is okay, because the Bastiladon has these big armor plates that can sort of carry any sort of pattern on them, I guess. But I also think this would be quite fun to do on a vehicle, or perhaps a knight or something. That would be very fun as well. I quite like the idea of having sort of a frame around it, not so you don't just have the pattern taking up the entire space on the panels, but having some sort of framework around it. This of course requires each panel to be of a certain size, because if you try to do this on a tiny little piece on like a hand of a space marine or something, I think you would have a very rough time actually showing the pattern and getting the frame, and not just having, well, it all sort of be, well, a little bit difficult to actually tell what you are going for, which I think is relatively important when you do something as, well, sort of graphic or stylistic as this. I think it's relatively important that it all stands out clearly, so at a single glance you can tell what you're looking at. Instead of, I mean, when you're going for very smooth blends, obviously you don't need people to see every single brush stroke. You in fact want the very opposite to be true, of course. But for something like this, I think it's very important to be able to tell at a glance that this is what you're looking at and what it's meant to be. So perhaps on bigger models it would be cool. But let me know, what do you think? What do you think of this style of doing it? Do you think it looks cool? Do you think it looks horrible? Do you have any ideas for ways it might be implemented on models? Let me know, all sorts of ideas, comments, especially suggestions for stuff I might try painting this on in the future. That would be cool as well. Also, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like this video. And as always, you can also follow me as Dyson Demons on Twitter and Instagram as well, which is very much appreciated too. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!